Former President Donald Trump, speaking from his Mar-a-Lago estate, has once again ignited international controversy. His recent pronouncements on Greenland, the Panama Canal, and Canada have sent shockwaves through the global community. These statements, delivered with his trademark blend of bravado and bluster, harken back to his America First worldview, a worldview that prioritizes American interests, even if it comes at the expense of traditional alliances and international norms. Trump's pronouncements have been met with a mixture of disbelief and anger. Many world leaders have condemned his words as reckless and irresponsible. Some have even gone so far as to accuse him of trying to rewrite the rules of international order. Trump, however, remains defiant, insisting that he is simply putting America's interests first. The world is now left to grapple with the implications of Trump's words. His statements have raised serious questions about the future of American foreign policy. They have also cast a shadow of uncertainty over America's relationships with its allies. Only time will tell what the ultimate impact of Trump's pronouncements will be. However, one thing is certain: the world is watching, and it is not impressed. Central to understanding Trump's worldview is his unwavering belief in America First. This doctrine, often espoused during his presidency, places American interests above all else. It is a philosophy that views international relations as a zero-sum game, where one nation's gain necessarily comes at the expense of another. This approach has significant implications for how Trump views international cooperation and diplomacy. Traditional alliances, built on shared values and mutual benefit, hold little appeal. Instead, Trump favors unilateral action and transactional relationships. He sees the world as a collection of competing powers, where strength and self-interest reign supreme. Critics argue that this approach is short-sighted and ultimately detrimental to American interests. They contend that it alienates allies, undermines international cooperation, and diminishes America's standing in the world. They point to the damage done to transatlantic relations and the erosion of trust in American leadership. Trump, however, remains unmoved by such criticism. He sees his approach as a necessary correction to decades of misguided foreign policy. He believes that by prioritizing American interests, he is restoring America's greatness and putting the country back on the path to prosperity. Trump's interest in Greenland, a self-governing territory of Denmark, is not new. In 2019, he famously expressed interest in purchasing the island, drawing ridicule and condemnation. Now, he has once again raised the issue, this time suggesting that Denmark should simply hand over control of Greenland to the United States. Trump's fascination with Greenland appears to be driven by a combination of strategic and economic considerations. The Arctic region is becoming increasingly important in geopolitical terms, as melting ice caps open up new shipping routes and access to natural resources. Greenland, with its vast landmass and strategic location, is seen by some as a key to controlling this emerging frontier. Beyond its strategic importance, Greenland is also believed to hold significant reserves of oil, gas, and rare earth minerals. These resources, if they can be extracted economically, could be worth trillions of dollars. Trump, with his focus on economic nationalism, likely sees these resources as a potential boon to the American economy. Denmark, however, has steadfastly rejected Trump's overtures. The Greenlandic people, who have a distinct cultural identity and a strong sense of self-determination, have also made it clear that they have no interest in becoming part of the United States. Trump's pronouncements on Greenland should be seen within the broader context of his administration's renewed focus on the Arctic. Recognizing the region's growing strategic importance, Trump has taken steps to bolster America's military presence in the Arctic. He has also sought to counter the influence of Russia and China, both of which have been increasing their own activities in the region. Trump's interest in Greenland is not solely driven by strategic considerations. The island is believed to hold vast reserves of natural resources, including oil, gas, and rare earth minerals. These resources, if they can be extracted economically, could be worth trillions of dollars. Trump, with his focus on economic nationalism, likely sees these resources as a potential boon to the American economy. The Trump administration's Arctic strategy has been met with mixed reactions. Some analysts have praised the administration for recognizing the region's growing importance and for taking steps to protect American interests. Others, however, have criticized the administration's approach as being too confrontational and for risking a new Cold War in the Arctic. Despite the controversy, It is clear that the Arctic is emerging as a new arena of geopolitical competition. Trump's pronouncements on Greenland are a reminder that the United States intends to be a major player in this emerging frontier. Section 5. Panama, a canal of contention. Trump has reignited tensions over the Panama Canal. Completed in 1914, the canal was a cornerstone of American power. In 1977, President Carter signed a treaty to transfer control to Panama. The transfer was completed in 1999. Trump denounced the handover as a grave error, claiming it weakened America's strategic position. He falsely asserted that the canal is now controlled by China. Experts have debunked these claims, but they resonate with Trump's base. His rhetoric raises concerns about challenging existing treaties, suggesting the U.S. might seek to regain control of the canal, whether through economic or military means, has alarmed Panama and Latin America. Such a move would destabilize the region. The Panama Canal remains vital for global trade. Trump's attempts to politicize the canal are counterproductive. They undermine America's standing and jeopardize stability. Section 6. The Specter of Nationalization. Trump's rhetoric on Panama is particularly concerning given his past statements praising the nationalization of industries. During his presidency, he frequently expressed admiration for leaders who used their power to seize control of private assets, often citing their actions as examples of strong leadership. This perspective, combined with his disdain for the Panama Canal Treaty, has led some to fear that he might consider similar actions if he were to return to power. The potential consequences of such a move would be severe. Nationalization of the Panama Canal would likely trigger a global economic crisis. The canal is a vital artery of global trade, and its closure or disruption would have ripple effects throughout the world. It would also likely lead to a diplomatic crisis, isolating the United States from its allies and potentially sparking conflict in the region. The international community has a vested interest in ensuring the continued neutrality and stability of the Panama Canal. Any attempt by the United States or any other country to unilaterally seize control of the canal would be met with widespread condemnation and could have disastrous consequences. Section 7. Canada, a northern neighbor in the crosshairs. Trump's America First lens extends even to Canada, a long-standing ally and neighbor. He has repeatedly criticized Canada's trade practices, accusing it of taking advantage of the United States. He has also questioned Canada's commitment to NATO. Most recently, Trump has suggested that Canada should be annexed by the United States. These statements have been met with bemusement and condemnation in Canada. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has dismissed Trump's comments as ridiculous. He has emphasized the strength of the U.S.-Canada relationship. Section 8. The Limits of America First. Trump's recent pronouncements have reignited the debate over the merits of his America First foreign policy. While his supporters argue that his approach is necessary to protect American interests in an increasingly competitive world, his critics contend that it is counterproductive and ultimately self-defeating. They argue that Trump's transactional approach to foreign policy, which prioritizes short-term gains over long-term relationships, has alienated allies, emboldened adversaries, and diminished America's global standing. They point to the damage done to transatlantic relations, the withdrawal from key international agreements, and the erosion of trust in American leadership as evidence of the failures of America First. The America First doctrine is also seen as being fundamentally at odds with the values of multilateralism and international cooperation that have underpinned the post-World War II order. Trump's disdain for international institutions and his preference for unilateral action have raised concerns about America's commitment to upholding the rules-based international system. While Trump supporters argue that his approach is making America respected again, the evidence suggests otherwise. His aggressive rhetoric and unpredictable behavior have made the world a more uncertain and dangerous place, and they have done little to advance American interests. Section 9. A World on Edge. As the world grapples with the implications of Trump's latest pronouncements, one thing is clear. His brand of nationalist populism continues to resonate with a significant segment of the American population. His America First rhetoric, however misguided, appeals to those who feel left behind by globalization, and who yearn for a return to a time when America was seen as the undisputed leader of the free world. The challenge for the international community is to find a way to engage with the United States in a constructive manner, even as it grapples with its own internal divisions. Ignoring or isolating the United States is not a viable option. The world needs a strong and engaged America, but it needs an America that is willing to work within the framework of international cooperation and diplomacy. The future of the international order may very well depend on whether the United States can reclaim its role as a champion of multilateralism and a defender of the rules-based system. The world is watching, waiting to see whether the United States will once again embrace its global responsibilities, or whether it will continue down the path of isolationism and unilateralism.